Hi, this is Tom Jogich with XsunX again, and we're here at the Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Garden Grove, California, where we've been talking about how we installed a solar carport for them and how we've now brought that electricity to the building. And once we get it to the building, what we have to do now is we have to make it usable. We have to introduce it into the building's electrical system. So the way we did that in this particular situation is we used large commercial inverters out in the carport system. And we bring that here, and it happened to be 480 volt systems. The church, on the other hand, uses a 208 volt system. We found using the higher voltage systems out in the field actually creates more efficiency, because we could use the higher amperage, the higher voltage is easier to transport into the building, requires smaller wire, there's less loss from heat, less resistance. So we get that electricity here to the building, we bring it in. The first thing we need to do, if we have multiple inverters, is we need to combine them. In this situation, we have two 33.3 kilowatt inverters out in the carport, so we've combined those in what we call a load center here. And we've had load centers similar to this, where we've had 10 of these circuits on both sides, combining many inverters into a common circuit. So we bring all that voltage into one area and essentially create one out of many. So these two 50 amp circuits now leave as a 100 amp circuit. The first thing we do is we install a safety disconnect. This allows us and emergency personnel, anyone who wants to service the system, to flip this switch and turn off all power connection between the utility meter and the inverters. By doing this, the inverters will also turn off. And that's something I forgot to mention out there when we were out there at the carport earlier. The SolarEdge technology we use is also one of the safest in the industry. As soon as you turn off the electricity, the connection to the utility power, modern inverters are designed to turn off. And that's a safety feature so that no one gets electrocuted. So the second that happens, the SolarEdge power optimizers, the brains that we talked about earlier out there at the solar modules, turn all the power, the output from the solar modules, to just 1 volt. So if you've got, let's say, 20 optimizers connected on a string, you'll have 20 volts maximum. So the system becomes very safe. When the system's on, many of those same circuits are producing nearly 1,000 volts. So you can imagine those solar modules continue to produce electricity even when the whole system's off, and it just sits out there as much as 1,000 volts, which can make the system very dangerous to service if you don't know what you're doing. But with the SolarEdge technology, bringing it down to 1 volt per module really makes it safe. So now let's get back to this. We've brought that electricity in here. We now combined it into a 100 amp circuit. We're now going to send it to our disconnect, which allows us to safely disconnect everything from each other. We now have to convert that electricity into the 200 volt 3-phase power that the church uses. We do that by running it through a transformer. And this transformer goes ahead and does what's called phase changing. It takes the 480 volt 3-phase power and converts it to 208 volt 3-phase power. We then come out this other side, bring it into what's called the client's main switchgear, and we introduce it into, at this point here, a master circuit breaker. So this is the solar circuit breaker, and we label it as such. And this is what essentially, this is another disconnecting point. This is where the electricity from the solar system is being introduced into the client's electrical system. At this point, such as it's doing right now, the system's producing more electricity than the client's using, so you'll see an arrow start to go to the left, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. In this particular, oh, actually you might be using more electricity than you're making. Let's see if we can see that arrow move to the left. Well, when it does move, points to the left, there's a little, oh, they're actually consuming more than you're producing right now. So they have a wedding going on, so there's a lot of power being consumed. But that arrow will show which direction the power is going, whether or not you're overproducing or you're still consuming electricity from Edison. This meter tracks how much you overproduce and how much you use, and this is how Edison then goes ahead and monitors the credits and the charges on your bill.